evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Historic Preservation Commission meeting of September 28th, 2023. I would like to officially call to order tonight's meeting. To begin, if we could all stand and together recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great, thank you. And for our roll call, I can start and maybe we'll go on down the line.
Perfect timing.
Actually, why don't I go and then we'll start down that way.
Okay.
Mine,
Do your hair?
I am Jenny Steinhagen.
Peggy Bellis.
Ladislav Castellanos.
Samurai Abrams.
I'm out of breath, Greg Luisi.
Welcome, Greg. We are all here. Great to see everyone.
Well, at least I brought glasses.
The agenda for tonight's meeting was posted online. We will follow that, beginning with the first item, which is approval of minutes. And we are looking at the approval of minutes from our last meeting of July 20th, 2023. Those minutes were circulated to the members of the commission. If everyone has had a chance to look at those, and unless there's anything for discussion or any objections, can I ask for a motion to approve the minutes from the July 20th meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The minutes are approved unanimously. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is a public meeting. There are no public meetings scheduled for tonight, which brings us to our resolutions. Under resolutions, it states, resolution setting a public hearing for October for the certificate of hardship application filed for 230 White Plains Road, otherwise known as the Ward House. With that, I'd like to ask if there is a motion, and we may as well go ahead and set the date for that. Let's be more specific. We are looking at October 25th, Wednesday, October 25th. So can I ask for a resolution to set a public hearing for October 25th for the certificate of hardship application for 230 White Plains Road?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so 6:30 is our time slot for Wednesday, October 25th, and when that public hearing will commence.
Right. You may want to just mention at this point that the application for the certificate of appropriateness has been put on our website under agendas. Okay, under the agendas for this meeting. So if the public wants to look at it, they can hit the agenda for this meeting, and there'll be a PDF, and they could look at that application.
Yes, thank you, John, for posting that there, found in the agenda. We next move to discussion, and there are no items listed under discussion, which brings us to miscellaneous business. And before we offer a few things for consideration, I'd like to ask if anyone here in the room has anything that they would like to contribute at this point in the meeting.
Hello, good to see everybody. Thank you for all your hard work. I'm Elaine Provenzano with Friends of the Ward House, and I have a statement from the Friends regarding the certificate of appropriateness that was just filed by Biggest Fish. In reviewing the Tuckahoe Historic Preservation Law, we believe the hardship application is premature and should be marked off your calendar. As you know, Biggest Fish Westchester LLC filed an application for a certificate of appropriateness with the Historic Preservation Commission requesting the demolition of the Ward House. You denied that application, but it is now on appeal with the Tuckahoe Village Board. As a result, your July 20th, 23 determination that the Ward House is not in danger of falling down is not final but was only conditional, subject to the appeal that Biggest Fish filed. No one forced them to appeal. They elected to do so. Consequently, as there is no final decision on the certificate of appropriateness, the hardship application should not be entertained until the village board first rules on the mechanics of the appeal process and the appeal itself. Again, without a final decision on the certificate of appropriateness, a hardship application is premature and should be put off. Secondly, in your July 20th, 2023 decision denying the certificate of appropriateness, you expressly cited Tuckahoe Historic Preservation Law, Section 8, requiring the owner not to permit the property to fall into serious disrepair. As evidenced by the current owner's engineering report produced by Pantech Engineering, numerous situations were cited, including photos of areas requiring immediate attention. In our personal observations of the ward house, we have noticed open windows and gutters with vegetation growing from accumulated debris. If you want pictures, we can supply them. We ask that this board take all necessary action to compel the owner to comply with Section 8B of Tuckahoe Historic Preservation Law and your July 20th, 23 determination. Notably, no appeal was taken from that part of your decision, yet for over 2 months, the owner has evaded your decision. Of course, a hardship application is also defective if the owner has created the hardship. However, that bridge should only be crossed after the appeal they elected to file is decided. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so I think we can break down the comments into the 2 points that were raised. The first was regarding the appeal that was filed, not with this commission, but with the Board of Trustees regarding the certificate of appropriateness, which was unanimously denied by this board. And then the second part was regarding not the state of the property currently and the owner's responsibility, as stated in the legislation for any local landmark, to prevent the property from falling into a state of serious disrepair. So we do have those 2 points there.
Yes, so as to the first point, 11A9, which governs this application for economic hardship, so Section A basically says an applicant whose certificate of appropriateness for proposed demolition, removal, relocation, or alteration of a landmark, resource, or property has been denied may apply for relief on the grounds of economic hardship. This, as we just said, this board denied them, so I think it is right for them to come back before this board for the economic hardship. It's fairly clear, I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, so that was regarding the ability of this commission. The question, I believe, if I understand it correctly, is whether or not we are able to move forward with the review in our public hearing of the certificate of hardship. It sounds like, per the section that you just referred to, that we're absolutely going in the right order. And if between now and the next meeting anything comes up or any questions, we can certainly address them. But it sounds like right now the resolution stands.
Right, that we move forward with the hearing.
Yeah,
Sorry,
so-
even while we wait for the Board of Trustees to rule on the appeal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because, if we went in the other order and they went before the Board of Trustees and then the Board of Trustees says no, then they appeal it, it could go on for years in the court. So it's a way for them to move forward with this. And I think it's pretty clear. It doesn't say, a court of final jurisdiction or anything. It just says it's been denied. You guys denied it, and I think it's right to move forward with it.
Thanks.
So the village board, the language of the village board being part of the appeal process is not in the legislation?
It just says denied. If it's denied, which you guys have denied, it doesn't say denial by a final court or whatever, or the village board. just as if it's been denied, and you unanimously
Okay.
denied it last time, so I think it's just playing on its face that they
Okay.
can move forward with this. Well, it is. It's two applications. One is the certificate of appropriateness for demolition based on safety. The other one's demolition for the certificate of appropriateness based on economic hardship. They've been denied for the safety issue. Now they're going for economic hardship. So even though that process of, the denial for the safety issue continues to play on, which could play on for years, theoretically, there's no reason why these guys can't start the process for the economic hardship. This isn't really this board's jurisdiction. That's an enforcement issue. It's part of the law. It'll be a building department issue. If they feel that it's not being kept up per the law, it's a building department issue. It's not this board. They're not enforcing whether it's being it's not what the board does.
Can we make a recommendation to the building department?
Sure. To look into it, of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because okay.
Question, so as far as the previous, right, the appeal and our decision, does one supersede the other if they don't match up, or it doesn't really matter?
Well,
That's what I'm trying to understand, so
Yeah,
I
so
don't.
they've applied for the certificate of hardship for safety, and the board denied it.
Okay.
So if they come back and they've applied now for the economic hardship, if you guys say, yes, you can demolish it based on economic hardship, it makes everything moot. It makes the safety issue moot because it's over. Follow that?
Okay, I get that.
Okay. And if you say no to that, then that whole appeal process goes through the village board, just as
This is,
the safety and the economic hardship does.
okay.
Hi.
Edward Powers, 6 McKinley Street. I'm trying to understand the mechanism here. So it's been brought up that it's a historic building and that there's an obligation to maintain it. So would the mechanism be that the Historic Preservation Committee would then make a referral to the building department?
Well, it could be really anybody. Historical preservation, I guess, would carry a little more weight, you would think, but so if there's a complaint about maintenance of a building, property maintenance, New York State Code, historical preservation law, that gets brought up to the building department. People make complaints all the time about properties, about property maintenance.
So the answer to my question is yes?
Yeah, they've
Thank you.
already asked that it be,
They'll make the referral. Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you, because I think it's crystal clear within the legislation, and as was discussed at multiple meetings, but especially the last two meetings, that the owner of a landmark building has the responsibility to keep that building from falling into a state of serious disrepair or anything that would jeopardize the health, safety, and well-being, welfare of the surrounding area. I mean, that house is in a residential neighborhood. There are concerned neighbors, I'm sure. But we've made our decision, I think, clear, and it sounds like the questions have been asked about mechanisms, and there are some ideas presented.
Yeah, and as you said, I mean, if there's been documentation that's happened since our last meeting, the points that you brought up tonight, that's certainly something that you could forward. You could bring that issue to the building department, who would then have the jurisdiction over that and provide whatever you have.
Okay, so the continued discussions about this particular property and will be held at next month's meeting as well. Okay.
No.
Well, so no, here we are at miscellaneous. Well, I have a list of 4 things under miscellaneous business.
Yeah.
The first is also at our October meeting, we hope to, well, I should say in the near future, potentially at our October meeting, recognize the owner of another Tuckahoe Village landmark with an award. So we hope to have him here present when that takes place. Also, I was presented with this earlier today, and I thought that I would bring it up because questions are coming up, including tonight, about what does it mean to maintain a historic building? And our legislation references what all historic preservation legislations reference, which is the United States Secretary of the Interior Standards for the Treatment of Historic Properties. It's available online, but someone was nice enough to print it out and hand it to me. So it's something that we will be consulting. It provides some great information about porches and interior and the bones, but also the water systems, etc. There's a lot of guidance in here, and this is great for us because of certificate appropriatenesses and local landmarks, but for anyone who has an interest in a historic property, what is recommended to extend the longevity of these homes and to maintain them without doing unintended damage, which it can sometimes happen. We also, I think, wanted to, at a future meeting, perhaps at our October meeting, mention that the commission is working on a nomination for another Tuckahoe landmark. So more information to come about that, as well as some cool historic facts about that particular property, one of many that this village so cherishes. I have one more, but does anybody have anything else?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Keep it go.
Okay, no, this is just I thought I'd throw in a fun fact. Because today's September 28th, I looked up what else happened on September 28th. So let's go back in time, 242 years ago on this date, 9,000 American and 7,000 French troops began their march into Yorktown for the siege on Yorktown, which we know 3 weeks later led to the surrender of the British. Our forefathers, amazing, right? 242 years ago, were beginning this final march into independence. Amazing that our forefathers were doing this. I mean, how could that British army that was pretty still substantial at the time be defeated by forefathers? No, it really
boy.
is.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
That really is a fact, though, about that. But I shouldn't have told that joke. I should have told a knock-knock joke.
That's a great joke.
But you know what? You can't find any knock-knock jokes about the American Revolution. We know why, right? Because freedom doesn't knock, it rings. Okay.
Oh, boy. I'm in trouble. We're in trouble.
Just getting that now.
Yeah. Because I thought it was a true story.
No, September 28th, 1781 really was
Okay, so
The-
it's based on historical events. Okay.
the forefathers part.
Got it.
1776 to 1783.
Years.
Madam Chairperson,
I wrote-
you shouldn't have said that.
I know I wrote down 81 here, but this September 28th was.
I believe
was,
that.
a true fun fact. So that's it for me.
That's great.
I guess I just have a question. This is in regards to this document that Jenny has. Do you think that's something that we should incorporate into our legislation? Make it part of the document?
You know, it's cool. So we mention it in the legislation. An earlier iteration of the legislation had a lot more of this in there.
Okay.
But with the idea that this might be updated at some point, we cross-referenced more than included. But I think your question is important because of the guidance that it spells
Yeah.
out for us,
I'm
right?
just trying to put more teeth into whatever it is that, we're going to be doing in the future, that's all.
Well, if anything jumps out that we think should go in there,
Okay?
and it's not there and needs to be,
Okay.
we could make a recommendation to the board to update the legislation.
We'll recommend it to the forefathers.
I couldn't resist, I'm sorry.
I think I'm going to carry this one for a while.
How could forefathers? Okay.
I have a quick question. So back to the enforcement, is that, right now it's a recommendation, pretty much, that we need to make to decide who,
It's no official recommendation, it's just, you know, I'll pass it along to the building department to look at.
Right, okay.
A weighty though,
A weighty coming from this
a
board.
weighty recommendation.
Yes.
I thought, isn't there a penalty if somebody doesn't maintain a property? Isn't there some kind of repercussion?
Yes.
Yes, there's a
Yeah.
penalty
There is.
section of our code and
Mm-hmm.
that, but they have the, there's a process.
Yes.
They have due process, you know, they have to go before a judge. A judge would,
Right.
so
You
it's
know,
not like we're just gonna,
my concern, I don't know if any of you saw the News 12 up at the county center yesterday. They had getting ready for the 250th. So it was very well attended, and the county executive was there, and people from all over the state and Westchester were there. And Connie Kehoe, who's actually running it, was talking about the divided loyalties in Westchester. And she said, and I thought of the Ward House, how important the Ward House, that history is. And they were talking about some of the houses that were not maintained, no one cared about them and no one did anything about them, like the Miller House that had to be rebuilt, the Odell House, which was being repaired now, but fell into great disrepair. And so we now have the opportunity to have our eyes open. So I'm not talking about, you know, ridiculous penalties, but just standards that should be upheld if you are owning this landmark that should be maintained. You know, that heat at a certain level, because we're heading into the cooler weather now. You know, water, pipes, just, that's all. So if we're going to have this landmark legislation and want to save these and have this be for the 250th, this amazing that we have this in our community, and we do have this law, that should definitely be enforced. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Unless there is anything else for tonight? No?
No.
Okay. Do we have well, we already announced our next meeting, October 25th at 6:30. So with that said, do I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Tonight's meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.